And we're back with 7-1 Part 2. Okay, so we graphed them all. Where in the world do you actually see this type of thing in the real world? Well, I am so glad you asked, because we're going to spend the entire chapter talking about that. But to get us started, here's just some kind of entry-level word problems here. Here's the formulas you're going to use, and it's written twice, but you might notice that there's really only one thing different between the two formulas. This one has a plus sign, this one has a minus sign. This one is growth. Let me write that here, which makes sense with a plus sign, right? This one is decay. Growth and decay, which makes sense. Plus for growth, minus for decay. So things should be getting bigger with growth, smaller with decay. They're not always going to tell you specifically if it's a growth or decay problem. You're going to have to read the problem and interpret that yourself. So, on number 3, teen spending is expected to grow 3.5% annually from $79.7 billion in 2006. Draw a graph to show the spending growth. So first things first, is this one growth or decay? Well, they did tell us this time it is growth, but you see this word here, grow? Yeah, that's going to mean growth. I know the directions say graph. We're just going to write the equation. We should probably define what these variables mean. A is starting amount. R is the rate. They'll usually give it to you in a percent, but you need to put it as a decimal. There you go. That's what R is. And T is going to be like your X value, so that's time. Now, in a case like number 3, they don't actually tell you a time. They're just saying draw an infinite graph. Well, that's just like when we had the equations y equals mx plus b. Your final equation was usually something kind of like this, right? You still had y and x in your equation. So same things with these. You're still going to have the a of t and the t. You're still going to have those when you're done. So let's go ahead and write an equation. The amount after time, okay, a of t, the starting value is 79.7 billion, of course. Parentheses 1 plus, the rate is 3.5%, so as a decimal, move the decimal point over 2 places, and you have 0.035. Close parentheses, then your t. You do want to simplify the parentheses, which the good news is, especially on the addition, it's pretty straightforward. Look at that. Now, if you're following order of operations, GEMS, first you do groupings. We did the groupings. Next you do exponents. I can't do the exponent because that's a variable, and I don't know what that is. It's a variable. That means I'm stuck there. You cannot do this multiplication here because you have to do the exponent first, and you don't know what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, this right here, that's the answer. That's it. And it works the exact same way if it's a decay. A cup of green tea contains 35 milligrams of caffeine. Look at this keyword right here. Eliminate. If you're eliminating something, that means it's going away. That means this is decay, so I should use the minus sign equation. So estimate the amount of caffeine in a teenager's body 3 hours after drinking a cup of green tea. So the amount after amount of time. The starting value is 35 milligrams. Parentheses 1 minus. Better put this as a decimal. Oh, I'm not sure what happened there. There you go, move it twice. So it's 0.125 parentheses. Oh, wait, this time they're not saying graph. They're saying to actually find an amount, and they gave me a time. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 3 for my hours. And so if I simplify here, 1 minus 0.125 is going to be 0.875. And so in my calculator, I'm going to raise that to the third power. And I'm going to have to actually plug that in here. So I have 0.875 being raised to the third power. If you're unsure how to do that, remember you use the caret key. And here's the thing. My calculator gives me a big long decimal. I don't necessarily want to have to rewrite that every single time. I forgot my decimal point. But I don't want to round because that's not going to give me as exact of an answer. So what you need to do is use that trick where you use the second negative sign to plug in the old answer key, or plug in the old answer. So in my calculator, what I'm typing is 35 times the second key, and then the negative sign because it says ands behind it, A-N-S means answer. So my calculator automatically plugs that big long decimal back in. 23.45. Does it tell me how many decimal points to round to? No? Okay. Should we do 1 or 2? We'll do 2. Better label that. Milligrams. That's your answer. Alright. That'll wrap up this section.